Is this working? Have I fixed it? Can you all hear me? Am I a wizard? This looks like I may have fixed it. Am I live? Please tell me I'm live. Bestie has said yes. Is that in response to me? Ah, I'm live! Yay! Thank you. Goodness, I have no idea what I did wrong there. Maybe it wasn't even my fault, but I'm live. Um, Thank you all so much for your patience. Sorry that I'm 6 minutes late. How are you all doing? How are you all doing on this fine Sunday? Let me catch up on the chat because we're saying happy birthday to someone. Bestie, it was your birthday yesterday. How was your birthday? Happy belated birthday. The rest of the chat is making me very hungry. I haven't actually had my tea yet, so I am very, very hungry. Oh, thank you, Rushy. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hi, Sarah. Hello, Scott. Hello, Carrot Cake, Kalu, Valerian, Benjamin. There's loads of you. How are we all doing on this fine Sunday? Hope you're all well. So, what are we here to talk about? We're here to talk about Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Did everybody read this? Did everybody finish this book? If you haven't, this is your spoiler warning because there will probably be spoilers in this live stream, I can imagine. Hungry, yeah, I feel you. It was good, but more chill. Nice, I like a chill birthday. Met my parents for lunch and my sister and her family for cake and tea. That sounds really nice. I hope you had a good day. That sounds like a lovely way to spend your day. You finished it 20 minutes ago, just in time for the live stream. That is great. I'm so glad that you've managed to do that. Otherwise, we would have ruined the ending for you. And I feel like this is the type of book where the ending should not be spoilt because this did not go where I expected it to go. This happened last time with Babel too. You're always cutting it close. I feel like the next book for next month, I'm going to be cutting it quite close because it's a big old book. The Will of the Many, isn't it? Like, I mean, it's at least over 500 pages for sure. Benjamin read it earlier in the year, downloaded it from Libby again to refresh my memory. Awesome. Is the tortoise asleep? Yes. I think his eyes are closed. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's asleep. Sorry, my tortoise is just behind the camera. So yeah, anytime I film a YouTube video, just so you know, Jimmy is always behind it. I may have a little problem with procrastination. Yeah, same. Ditto. Sarah listened to the YouTube audiobook. Awesome. How was the audiobook? Was it good? I was actually buddy reading this with one of my friends in real life, and she listened to the audiobook when she did it. So I think we both had like a slightly different experience. It's more like 700 pages. That's a big book. That is a chunky book for October. I'm gonna have to start it like immediately in order to finish it before the live stream, which is obviously going to be on the last Sunday of the month, which will be the 26th. So we don't have that long until we need to discuss the Will of the Many. Listen to the audiobook. Did an amazing job with the narration. Awesome. I'm scrambling to finish my current book to make time for Will of the Many. Yeah, same. Although I'm actually reading Lord of the Rings at the moment. So I've set myself a challenge that I'm not sure I'm going to be able to complete. So I may have to put a pause on Lord of the Rings in order to pick up The Will of the Many because I can't come to this live stream and have read the book that the live stream is about. So I have to prioritize The Will of the Many. Bestie's going to choose the audio book of Will of the Many. Awesome. I hope it's a good one. Sarah had the textbook in front of her and listened to the audio. Oh, so you did like, is it called like the immersion read, where you have like the physical copy and then you have the audiobook at the same time? That's always a cool way of doing it. Valerian would highly, highly recommend the audiobook for this. The reading was really perfect. Oh, that's such a good statement because I feel like that can really change how you read a book. Like if the narrator is just not great, then that can completely ruin a perfectly good book. Oh, the PDF, awesome. Kalu also listened to the audiobook. Oh, we've got a lot of audiobook fans in the chat. I feel like that's the most popular way that people have read this for today's live stream. Sarah split the screen in two. That's a cool way of doing it. That's like an adapted way of doing the immersion read. So rather than having the physical copy, you've just got the PDF and split it 50-50. That sounds cool. Awesome. So let's jump straight into it. No dilly-dallying. What did everybody think to Piranesi? Hi, Callum. I audiobook DNF'd. Ooh. Out of interest, why did you DNF? I'm not judging. No judgment here. But I would love to know what prompted you to DNF. Was it the audiobook that was the issue? Was it the book itself? Yeah, feel free to share your opinions if you feel comfortable. Oh, bestie, DNF is did not finish. So if you DNF a book, you basically just can't get through it and you never pick it up again. That's okay. Feel free to ask if I use any slang or terms that just don't make sense. Because in my mind, I know what I mean, but I don't always articulate it very well. It's a bit depressing. Yeah, I loved it. I'm sorry you didn't like it too much. Wasn't a fan of the plot. The only one of the book club so far that I DNF'd. That's fair. I'm quite weird because I just physically cannot DNF a book. Like it really pains me to DNF a book, even if I hate it. But you know, life is too short to force yourself to finish books that you're just not enjoying. So DNF all you want. I thought it was well written, but the story was tough. Yeah, so I definitely agree with the people who said go into this book being like completely blind, go into it not knowing anything. Like I totally agree with people who say that because if I went into this already knowing what was going to happen, I wouldn't have enjoyed it. I loved the mystery aspect to it of constantly trying to guess like what is going to happen next. That was my favorite thing about the book, and it's made me want to like pick up a mystery kind of book of a similar format. But I do have some things about it that I didn't enjoy too much. So we'll obviously talk about that in a moment. But yeah, the story was tough. The story was a little bit confusing, maybe very confusing. Yeah, Sarah wanted to shake the hell out of Piranesi. Yeah, I feel like Piranesi was such like a delusional sweetie. I just kind of wanted to be like, come on, open your eyes, like. But I can also understand why they were deluded. Callum echoes Calu. That's a hard statement to say. Callum echoes Calu. I didn't find it depressing at all. I found it incredibly uplifting. Yeah, I quite liked what's the word? I quite liked how simple everything was to Piranesi. Like Piranesi's appreciation of like the statues and the tides and like all these different things that Piranesi really appreciated and valued. I really liked that part of it. It was kind of like focusing on the small things. That was quite uplifting, like the small things that make a big difference. So I quite liked Piranesi's perspectives in that sense. I just didn't have a clue what was going on or where they were. I've never seen such an intriguing start to a book. Completely agree. The most bizarre concepts are just casually dropped by Piranesi as granted. Yeah, the first few pages, I was immediately intrigued by it. That's what prompted me to really want to read on. Like when I first started reading the book, I raced through like the first, maybe like a third of it, and kept turning the pages because it was so intriguing. But then I feel like it lost its way a little bit, like middle to end. Sarah's like, wake up, dude. Eventually, he sort of did. The beginning of Piranesi was really bad for me because you don't know anything and it doesn't feel like much is happening, but later it's way better. Oh, so I feel like we had opposite opinions then. So I really preferred the beginning, but it sounds like you preferred the end because things kind of made sense a little bit more. At first, I thought it was all in his mind, like a mental health loneliness study, but then we had real people, so it turned into an alternate universe thing. Do you know what? That is completely what I thought as well. So I remember when I read the start of it, I was saying to my friend that I feel like it's a metaphor for something. I didn't know if it was a metaphor for like memory loss, someone who's been through trauma. Like I didn't know if it was some kind of like stronger message. And the house was just his internal mind. and this was just how he visualizes the real world, was through these halls and all these different things, and the people are statues. Um, but yeah, so I kind of wish that it ended in that way, and that the house wasn't real, and that it was actually like a metaphor for his state of mind. But it turns out that wasn't the case. But yeah, I kind of agree. I felt like it could have been like a metaphor for mental health, like you said, loneliness, and I feel like that might have had a stronger message at the end. Um, but it just didn't go that way. Uh, Bestie says, to be honest, I would never recommend Piranesi. Oh, Katie's here. Hi, Katie. If anybody's interested, that's the friend that I buddy read it with that I mentioned earlier. Nice to see you here, Katie. Um, like the other was his psychologist, but then everything flips. Yeah. Oh, Valerian really loved the ending personally. Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's not that I didn't enjoy the ending. I just think I would have preferred my ending. But that's my biased opinion. I'm not an author. Turby says, love the prose. Clark's a spectacular writer, but ironically, it felt like it could have been more fantastical despite the premise. Maybe that's what she was going for. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. And I also do think that she's a brilliant writer. Like that's one of the things that carried the book for me, was that the writing style was easy to engage with. I did really like that. Hi Jason, how are you doing? I'm good, thank you. Nice to see you on this. What day are we on? Sunday? I was going to say Saturday then. Sarah says the audiobook listened to has a background bizarre, quiet, vibrating sound that added to the fact I found it depressing. That's interesting. I wonder, is that intentional or is that like a glitch with with the audiobook? That's interesting. Um, Half of the book I thought maybe it was about dementia. Yes, bestie, that's what I felt. And so I thought maybe Piranesi is just fantasizing or something. Yeah, that is exactly what I felt like, was that it was somebody who was like at the kind of advanced stages of dementia or memory loss, or they've been through some sort of trauma that triggered memory loss and they were just trying to recollect things. Um, but obviously that didn't happen. Um, Benjamin says it's a bittersweet ending that Matthew Sorensen never recovers his psyche and remains the persona of Piranesi. Considering the trauma he went through, it's probably for the best. Yeah, and I feel actually, yeah, to be fair, I was saying it was a metaphor for trauma. I mean, he did actually go through a lot of trauma, but the house was real. Like he actually ended up in the house rather than the house being his state of mind. Oh, I'm not sure I'm going to be an author anytime soon, Jason. I don't have the skills. I would need a very strong editor to give me the skills. But I think I've got some kind of plot that I could make, maybe. Katie says, I wonder what it would be like as a second read. Now that we know all the answers, I wonder if it would be read better or worse. I think it would be worse for me personally, because I loved the mystery part. Like I loved not knowing what was going to happen and trying to create all these theories in my head. Like I would literally sit there and think, who is the other? Like what is this house? How has Piranesi got to this point? Like I loved that kind of like mind mapping in my head, what was happening. And I don't think, well, I obviously wouldn't have that if I reread it because I would already know. Um, Unless I got memory loss and then I could read it again and it would be like reading it for the first time. So there's the silver lining to having memory loss. Jack says, have you ever read Fire and Blood? I have. I've read it twice. It's just behind my head. Right there. Um, no, it was intentional. Kelly says, I couldn't reconcile how Piranesi knew all kinds of concepts and things, but could not recognize or got freaked out by place names like Manchester. Yeah, I think that's it. There was like, this is why, again, I thought it was like a metaphor for somebody in the real world, because obviously real world terms were like coming into it. Like there was another one where they were talking about Battersea, and immediately I knew what that was, and Piranesi was trying to recollect what it was. Um, so yeah, I thought it was obviously something that meant something to Piranesi before they became Piranesi. Um, it is absolutely about all of these things, even if it isn't at the literal plot level. Yeah, there's still definitely those messages. There's still definitely messages of like trauma and, you know, all of these things that I wanted to get from the ending. They definitely still do shine through. I just wish the house wasn't a real place and that it was just a figment of Piranesi's imagination. The book of Susanna Clarke I want to read is The Wood of Midwinter. Love the cover and the synopsis got me hooked. Oh, tell me more. What is that about? I love the name of it. Katie says, "I think we had more fun in the beginning theorizing, didn't we?" Yeah, and I think that was my favorite part of reading it was was the theorizing and the messaging back and forth of trying to work out who was who. Yeah, I really enjoyed trying to figure out who the other was and then who the prophet was as well. That was fun. I definitely got it wrong at the beginning, and I definitely kept changing my mind. But yeah, that was so much fun. If anybody has any book recommendations that give you that kind of thought where you're like constantly trying to guess what happens next, please do let me know because it really makes me want to read some kind of like mystery book like that. It doesn't need to be fantasy. I just love the mystery element. Benjamin says, I loved the moments of realization when Piranesi's perspectives of the world conflicted with logic. Like, how could the other pick up everyday items from anywhere other than outside the house? Yeah, and it's when Piranesi starts to realize that he's being like manipulated by the other. And when he's talking about, well, where does the other go? Like, we meet up like twice a week or whenever it was. Like, where does he go when he's not meeting up with me? Because, like, I never see him anywhere around the house. So it's when like the cogs start turning and Piranesi starts to realize these things. I really enjoyed him picking up on those bits. The end was a bit sad. It felt like the protagonist died because he couldn't live as Piranesi, nor could he really live as Matthew. It was just a new start for him. Oh my goodness, that is such a sad way to view it. I definitely didn't view it that depressingly, but now I feel like I should have. That's a really strong message. How did you recover after interpreting it like that, bestie? Benjamin says it was sweet how we could see aspects of the house's beauty in the real world at the end. Yeah, that's definitely the sweet part of the bittersweet ending, 100%. I just loved the ending and took from it to try and see the world how Piranesi does, to see the beauty in everyday life. Yeah, that's such a nice message. That's like what we were saying earlier with how like the small things meant a lot to Piranesi. So it was just kind of that like reminder of we don't need to overcomplicate things. Like he was just quite besotted with these statues and the beds. There was like beds in there that he was going to see every day. Like it was just like little things that meant a lot. Um, Sarah says, I didn't quite grasp how he was transported into the house. Am I the only one? You're definitely not the only one. I didn't really understand that either. There was some kind of ritual that he did with, was it the other that he did it with? Dr. Kettley. They did some kind of ritual thing. I feel like that part was very rushed over. I feel like that part didn't go into much detail at all. Did you know that there is a famous Italian artist architect named Giovanni Piranesi who is famous for paintings of prisons and mazes? Ooh, I did not know that. I might have to research that after this. I love good paintings. Hello, Stanis Baratheon, Stanis the Manis. How are you today? Hope you're doing good. Thanks for joining us today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today as well. As always, I really appreciate it. Maybe my impression will change as it's really fresh, but the last page has just made me sad. Yeah, I feel like we didn't get all the answers as well, which we don't obviously always need. Like in a book, you don't have to have all the answers at the end. But I just feel like I would have benefited from a little bit more understanding. I feel like I didn't really understand who like Matthew was, Matthew Sorensen. Like I knew a bit about Piranesi, but who was he when he was Matthew? Like I wish we kind of got some bits from like the past or like flashbacks a little bit more so we could understand who he was as a person. I've heard a lot of people say Piranesi could be considered a modern classic decades from now. Honestly, it's such a unique book. I can see it. Yeah, and I would, I think I would recommend it to most people. To be fair, just to see what their perspective of it is. So to see what theories they come up with and what they think the meaning is. And it is a very easy read. Like to be fair, I know that the plot is a bit confusing, but in terms of the writing style, that was pretty easy to understand. So I feel like I would recommend people do read it just to see what their theories would be. Who is that Piranesi fellow? Another pretender. Thank you. I am feeling awesome. How about you? Thank you. I'm good. I'm glad that you're feeling awesome. A girl who loves the woods and can communicate with animals and trees, and whose life is changed after a mysterious encounter during a snowy midwinter walk. That sounds awesome. Was that the other Susanna Clarke book? What was it called? The Wood of Midwinter. That sounds really cool. The story explores elements like sacrifice, sanctity, and nature. That sounds, yeah, The Wood of Midwinter. That sounds lovely. Thank you very much for recommending that. That sounds really nice. I like that, and it sounds like it could be a good winter book, actually. We're coming up to the time of year where it sounds like that would be great. Um, oh, Benjamin's got a recommendation. If anyone wants a book that feels similar to this, the closest recommendation I can think is The Slow Regard of Silent Things by Patrick Rothfuss. I've definitely heard of that author before, but what is that book about? I'm just making a note of these recommendations. So we got the Wood of Midwinter, and The Slow Regard of Silent Things. Awesome, thank you guys. Yeah, I'm having the signs of entering a reading slump again, guys. It's not good. So if you do have any good book recommendations, please hit me up. I really don't want to be in another slump. I had one a few months ago in spring and it was not good, but I'm noticing signs of it again. So hopefully these books can bring me out of it. Sarah says, "Who's number one? Why am I second? Who's number one?" Number one is Rushy, but that makes sense because they paid to be, which they didn't need to do. No one needs to pay to be top of the leaderboard, but if it works, then it works. But Sarah, second is brilliant. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being second on the leaderboard. Very interesting how different the ending made people feel. I hadn't considered people would find it sad. I found it very uplifting. Cool to hear how different people's experiences were. Yeah, exactly. And that is why I would want to recommend it to more people just to see what they think to it, because it's such like an open ending. I feel like it's like anybody can make from it what they will. So, and because it doesn't give you any answers really, it's kind of, you can sit there in your own thoughts and decide how you feel about it, and everybody will go like a different way. So yeah, that's why I like these live streams as well, because like you said, you found it very uplifting, other people found it depressing and sad. I was a bit confused as to how I felt. So yeah, it's cool to hear like other people's perspectives. Why am I third? I am rightful king after all. I know, Stannis the Manis. I don't know why you're third. Although actually, you've got the same amount of XP as Sarah, so technically, you are both joint second, and then everybody else seems to be joint third because everybody else has 75 XP. I don't know how this works or why everybody's on the same. That makes no sense. Have you got to Goldbury yet in Lord of the Rings? I have. We've just been to Tom Bombadil's house. What a crazy fellow. I think I'm about maybe 150 pages in, possibly. I'm buddy reading that as well though, so I'm going at it a little bit slower than I normally would. I'm reading 2 books at the same time because I don't want to race ahead and then my buddy is like far behind me. Or vice versa. If they raced ahead and finished the book and I was still only 150 pages in, then I'd be devastated. Book recommendation. How the heckin' Bob do you pronounce that name? Hunger. I can pronounce Hunger. Awesome. What is that about? If you don't mind letting me know. Let's get me out of this rut. Please. Otherwise, the Booktube channel will be no more because I won't enjoy reading anymore. I'm joking. That'll never happen. Here we go again with the buying our way to the top. Nobody needs to buy their way to the top, but it is appreciated. I'm joking. I mean, I'm not joking. It genuinely is appreciated. A good recommendation is The Address by Fiona Davis. Should I make a video on reading books you all recommend to me? How much is this all going to cost me? Thank you very much for the recommendation, sir. I thoroughly appreciate it. I read something similar to Piranesi this year. Maybe it was influenced by Piranesi. Ooh, was it called Piranesi 2.0? Was it good? Did you enjoy it? This might be an odd comparison, but the ending really reminded me of the film Before Sunrise. Have you seen it? I can't say I have seen that. Would you recommend it? I don't think I have seen that at all. What is that about? Is that like similar to Piranesi, or is it like just a very different plot but with a very similar feeling ending? You should do another video blog for the whole LOTR trilogy journey. Don't worry, I'm on it. I'm on it. I just need to decide how I want to do the content. But yeah, I'm gonna rinse Lord of the Rings for all the content I can. Without overdoing it. The book recommendation I need to remind you of, Blood Over Brighthaven. I know I really want to read this, but I'm conflicted because I was going to add it into the book club poll, but I've already got another book in the book club pool by the same author, Sword of Kaigan, and now I feel like I can't put Blood over Brighthaven in the book club pool because then I've got two books by the same author in the pool. So if people could pick Sword of Kaigan for the next one, and then I could put Blood over Brighthaven in it. I'm overcomplicating my book club pool. Help. um, it was Abelis. It was good. It had a confusing start too. I can't explain why it's similar because I will spoil too much. Okay, well, if you think it's good, then it's always worth giving a read, isn't it? And does it have like a similar mystery vibe to it where you don't really know what's going to happen, and it's best if you kind of like go in blind to it? Yeah, I'm excited for that. Engines down for Sword of Kaigan, another standalone. Awesome. Yeah, I'm trying to make sure that we have more standalones in the book club just because I'm cautious of like I could start like so many series and never finish them because I'm only one person and I only have one life. And I can't get through all the books that I want to read. It's not like Piranesi, but there are many parallels. Ooh, you've intrigued me. You've intrigued me with that pitch. But it's really short too. You can read it in a week. Awesome. I'll be on it. I will be on it and then we can chat about it. It's a very good film. It's just a romance, basically two people walking around a city and talking for a night. The ending, though, is just static camera shots of the places they walked. Oh, that sounds good. That was before sunrise. Okay, let me write that down. That sounds cute. That sounds like a nice Sunday afternoon movie. Thank you very much. I don't mean to use you guys for recommendations. I do actually want to talk to you about how you are as well, but this is great. um, Hunger. It's about a poor boy who wanders in the streets of Denmark. He tries to survive the nights, struggling from poverty. So, despite his hard life, he tries to stay honorable, but he fights himself. Oh my goodness! Wow, that sounds like such like a thought-provoking, hard-hitting story. So, yeah, I've written that down by the author's name that I cannot pronounce. Actually, I was definitely going to say the wrong word. If you rearrange those letters, it's a word that I will get banned on YouTube for saying. I've just realized that. But yeah, I will definitely read that. That sounds good. That sounds really good. Thank you for your recommendation. It's a movie trilogy. Is that Lord of the Rings movie trilogy? I know The Hobbit is, but how can The Hobbit be a movie trilogy? Oh, Before Sunrise, Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight. Oh, cool. Okay, awesome. Oh, wow, it's my favorite movie trilogy ever. Oh, cool, awesome. Well, that sounds good. Well, I'll watch the first one, and then if it's great, which it sounds like it would be, then I might watch it all. Even though they are all unremarkable everyday sights, like a coffee shop with the chairs put up, a box they stop to sit on as they talk, etc. I just got the exact same vibe of finding everyday beauty. Oh, that sounds great. That sounds so good. Um, if you are reading Lord of the Rings, watch Rings of Power series. It's about Lord of the Rings and it's new. Yes, so I did actually watch Rings of Power when it came out. I don't know why, because I'd never read Lord of the Rings and I'd never watched Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit movies. So I think there's probably stuff that I definitely overlooked or glossed over that I just don't get because I watched Rings of Power and I don't feel like I should have if I hadn't watched anything else or read anything else. So yeah, that was an interesting experience. I kind of want to rewatch it after I've read everything because I feel like my view will be different. But I also feel like the fan base hate it. So I'm like, when I become part of the fan base, I feel like I will hate it. But I actually didn't hate it when I watched it the first time round. But I think that's just because I didn't really know the lore. Whereas I feel like if I know the lore, I will probably be disappointed, like everybody else is. I did actually do some videos on Rings of Power over a year ago. They didn't go down very well. They are my most disliked videos on YouTube. So there you go. It was on Netflix before. I don't know if it still is. I'll have a look for it. I'll search for it. The Hobbit gets stretched to its absolute limits as a trilogy. So much filler, and the entire final film is the climactic CGI battle. I just don't know how they can. Yeah, there must be filler. Like it's such a short book. I don't know how they can make that into a trilogy. That makes no sense. Miranda, hi, how are you? Thanks for joining us today. How are you doing? I guess you can't read Abelis. It seems like there is no English version. What's a bit funny because it refers to my Irish mythology. There's no English version? I guess it's time to learn a new language then. Let me go. I'm sure them maybe I don't know. Unless I put the whole thing in Google Translate and I might get some sort of book out of it. The Hobbit trilogy is a bit of a stretch. Yeah, that's such a shame because the Hobbit book is like amazing. That's such a shame that they didn't adapt it very well. Um, I Like to Die, he was my favorite character. Interesting fact is that he is never mentioned in the book lore. Showrunners created him and he was the best. Really? Was he the one where they changed the actor for him? Let me Google and make sure I'm right because I remember that he was a different actor in season 1 compared to season 2, wasn't he? Yeah, he was. They changed the actor for him. I liked him too, as if he doesn't exist. I really liked him. I think he was a good character. The 3 films were all made 9 years apart, so 95, 2004, 2013, and set at the time of release. So you see the characters and actors grow up in real time. Oh my god, that sounds amazing. That's so bittersweet though when you see like them grow when you see people growing up. Like this is what kind of scares me a little bit about Game of Thrones is that like the child actors in season 1 are obviously growing up, and it's quite bittersweet. The final movie is called The Battle of the Five Armies, which is just 2 paragraphs in the book. Oh my goodness. That why? Who makes these decisions? Why would they decide to do that? I would have recommended the Wheel of Time show, but it was another Prime Fantasy show, somewhat controversial with fans. It got cancelled just as it was starting to get good. That's such a shame. Yeah, I had mixed reviews on that. I didn't really pay too much attention to people's reviews on it because I've never read Wheel of Time, and I always do like to try and read the book thing first before an adaptation, like before like a movie or a TV show. But yeah, I definitely saw some hate about it online. That's such a shame that it's cancelled as it's starting to get good. It sounds like it had potential. The author's name is Lily Labard. Sounded more English than German to me. That does sound like a very non-German name. The first actor was Benjamin Stark's actor. Oh my goodness, it was! Oh my goodness, yes, it was! And they changed him. Oh wow. Why have I only just realised that? I've enjoyed the Rings of Power show. People get too touchy with deviations from the law, and I just like being in the world. Okay, where were you guys when I was making these Rings of Power videos? Because the comments on that video, on all of them, I think I did 5 videos, they are toxic. I was just being hated on. Where were you guys to support me when I was uploading those videos? It was such a toxic time for my YouTube channel. Um, but I'm glad that I found people who actually didn't hate Rings of Power because it feels like everybody else did. But I enjoyed it. Oh, carrot cake's a toxic one. Share your thoughts. Tell me why. I think I it's because I don't know the law. Like I think that's why I liked it because I was oblivious. Like people were saying that it didn't adapt the law right and it didn't like I don't know, like, it just didn't depict it well, but I didn't know that because I had nothing to compare it to. I just enjoyed the scenery and the actors. Stranger Things kids growing up and getting married before the final season. Yeah, Stranger Things I have a gripe with, like, they've left it way too long between seasons. They needed to chop, chop, hurry up with getting it out because now the kids are so I mean, Billy Bobby Brown has is that her name? Millie Bobby Brown, she has a child now, and she's married. But she was, like, little and Diddy in the first season. Like, why have they waited so long to complete their series? It makes no sense. Um, Similar to the final seasons of Game of Thrones. Yeah. I feel like I'm at the point where if I say anything good about the final seasons of Game of Thrones, it's gonna be like Rings of Power all over again, and everybody will unsubscribe. Callum enjoyed Rings of Power too. Had to differentiate between books and TV. Yeah. I've seen some of those comments and they are hilarious. People are just hateful idiots. Yeah. It's if you don't laugh, you cry. And I just wasn't prepared to cry every time I uploaded a video. So I just laugh instead. I didn't like Rings of Power and I didn't finish season 2, but I wouldn't be toxic in the comments. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the thing that did make me laugh was the dislike to like ratio, because obviously only I can see that, which is great. But normally my videos don't do that badly, but then I go to those ones and it's bad, guys. I think there was like 30% of people liked the video, and then like 70% disliked, and a lot of people wanted to dislike that video. So yeah, it was funny. It just made me laugh. If I ever want to like just like laugh at myself, I'll just look at the like and dislike ratio on those videos. It's so good. Um, I watched the final season of The Sandman on Netflix, and I was shocked when none other than Jack Gleeson showed up. It was shock as I thought he had retired from acting. Yes, have I finished it? No, no, I'm on episode 8. I think I'm on episode 8 of Sandman season 2. Um, and yes, he plays Puck, doesn't he? I noticed that immediately, and again, he just looks so much older. He's also in something else that I want to watch that's just come out, House of Guinness on Netflix. Jack Gleeson apparently is in that as well. It had his name in the casting, like the credits. So it looks like he's coming back to acting, which is great. But yeah, I actually enjoyed him in Sandman, but I haven't finished season 2 yet. What are you guys talking about? What are those videos you lost me? Sarah, on my YouTube channel, about a year ago, I did Rings of Power review videos. They didn't go down well with the YouTube community. That was not what people wanted me to make. I was actually going to private them, but I've just left them up, and I think I always will because they are quite funny now. Don't feel bad for liking some parts of the later seasons of Game of Thrones. There are still some gems there. I've heard that the cinematography is great. That is what I've heard. I think people's main gripe seems to be with like the storylines and the character development, how they've ruined certain characters or how they've made things in the storyline that just don't make sense. That's what I've heard, but I can make my own decisions when I come to that. It's still okay at the moment. Season 5's good at the moment. I mean, I've watched 2 episodes of it, so it could all go downhill. What about animes or animation movies? Do you like it? I wouldn't say that I don't like it. I just haven't watched enough of it. So again, if you have any recommendations, then yeah, I would definitely check it out. But anime, the only one I think I've ever watched is Pokemon. I think that's it. And there was an Animal Crossing one. I'm sure they had an Animal Crossing anime TV thing that they did like way back in the past. And that's it. So yeah, anime I'm not an expert in at all. The music is always very good. The music has been like top tier, 10 out of 10. Brilliant. Stanley says yes. Character developments. That makes me worried. Oh, I've heard of Castlevania, and my favorite animation movies. You must try. I will. I will then. Let me write that down. If Stannis the Manis says I must, then I must. Awesome. Thank you very much for the recommendations. Oh, One Piece. People talk about One Piece. Sorry, Bestie, I just saw your comment. One Piece is the best, but to be honest, reading is way much better because the weekly release makes it really repetitive in the later episodes. That's fair. Stannis' real name is Luca. I'm glad that you've said that, so now I can stop calling you Stannis. Although, knowing my memory, I will probably forget. You might have to remind me next time. It took me ages to remember that Dragon Rider Drogon is Sarah. Up to the 3rd episode to the final episode, Game of Thrones was good. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I think no matter what happens in the later seasons, it won't take away from the fact that Game of Thrones is brilliant. Like the first few seasons are fantastic. No, you never forgot my name. I remembered. I had to remember, Sarah, because you're always so supportive on every single video, and I thought I am making sure I learn your name because you've just been so supportive. So thank you very much. And now I can remember Lucas. What are we doing? We always go off on a tangent on these book club live streams. I hope you don't mind that we talk about things other than Piranesi. But if you want to bring it back to Piranesi, let me know. Obviously, we will take it based on your guidance. Luca is the most common name in Georgia. Now you will remember it. I like the way that Luca sounds, like the way it comes out the mouth. Luca. Another word that sounds really good to say is coffee. Like I love saying the word coffee. Coffee, Luca. Does anybody else have words that just feel amazing to say out of their mouth? Is that a weird question? Probably. I know that my mum's favorite word to say is bubbly. She loves saying bubbly. This is a very weird question. Oh, thank you, Sarah. You deserve it. That's very sweet. Can I put a love heart in the chat? No. Why can I not type in the chat anymore? Okay, I'll have to do it manually then instead. There we go. One Piece is my true love besides Lord of the Rings, but I read it every week since 2012. That's awesome. What's like a short summary of the plot, like in 2 sentences? That's a hard question. Do you like Misery, the book, or the movie? Can't say I've ever read or watched. Would you recommend Chicken Burn? I don't think I actually have, no. But if it's good, then I definitely would read it. People always call me by my full name. They find it cool. Is Sarah your full name, or do you have a different full name? Luca means lightbringer in Greek, so connected to Stannis. So many connections with Stannis. Yeah, it's almost a little bit convenient, the connections that you have with Stannis. Something fishy going on there. It's almost like Stannis is in the house. Sarah Harmel. Oh, cool. Oh, you mean like I thought you meant Sarah was short for something, like a nickname, like Becky's short for Rebecca. But thank you for sharing that. Yeah, in case you didn't know, my real name is not Becky. If you were going to try an anime, I'd say try out Frieren. An immortal elf defeats the Dark Lord along with her party, and the story is about what comes next over the next hundreds of years for her. Ooh, that sounds really cool. Thank you for the recommendation. When I was young, I used to want to be an elf. I was like obsessed with not like Christmas elves, obviously, but not like a wood elf or something. My Halloween costume would always be an elf. Just really wanted to be an elf in a different life. My surname is so hard to pronounce. It doesn't sound Arabic, said with a French accent, because my last name is worldwide. I've had British teacher for 4 years and he never learned how to pronounce. I feel really bad because I'm so bad at pronouncing names. Like it sounds like kind of ignorant, but if they're not a natural like English name, then I do struggle to just naturally know how to pronounce it. I think that, to be fair, loads of people are like that in this country, but it is quite ignorant that we just don't. It's like our brains just don't know how to say certain letters when they're together. But I do try, and like when someone tells me how to pronounce it, then I get it. But it's hard to tell someone over the internet unless you're like giving them a voice note. Yeah, like your second name, Luca, I wouldn't have a clue how to pronounce it. Being honest, I would try. I would absolutely try. And then if you told me how to pronounce it, I would get it. But first of all, I just wouldn't be able to do that. Your name isn't Becky. Betrayal. I know. Do you know what's a bigger betrayal? That your name is not Excellent Carrot Cake. That will not be on your birth certificate. I know. That is the biggest betrayal. It's about Luffy. He wants to become the Pirate King and be the most free man of the world, but it's also very socially critical. And in every arc, there are topics like corruption, racism, etc. Wow, that sounds very thought-provoking. That sounds brilliant. So that's One Piece. Is that One Piece? Yeah, One Piece. I have to shorten my summary because it was too long. Do you know what? I gave you a really difficult task. I said sum it up in 2 sentences, and you've smashed that. That is great. You've sold it to me. Is Becky Veronica? Elizabeth? What could it be? Certainly not Rebecca. Great book, good movie. Would recommend both Stephen King. I thought it was Stephen King, but I didn't want to say it in case I sounded dumb. Yes, okay, I will definitely pick it up. I have heard a lot of people talk about Misery, so I will. I don't actually have it in my Stephen King collection, so that might be the next one that I buy. My name is in my username, so that helps. Yeah, your name's very easy to remember. That Game of Thrones character has a name like mine. Yoink. Very, very easy to remember. I sometimes always do wonder if people's usernames are their names or not. Obviously, I'm not going to ask people what their real names are in case they don't feel comfortable sharing. I would never expect that. Um, but I just always wonder when someone comes up with a username that could sound like a name. I'm always like, I wonder if that is. Um, in One Piece, it's a character named Ben Beckman. So Becky needs to be the short form for this. Yeah, Beckman. Ben Beckman. I like that. And what about Beck Beckman? Becky Beckman. I dig it. Honestly, these live streams are great. We just go off on a tangent. Um, does anybody have any other thoughts about Piranesi, or do you think we've exhausted it? Oh, actually, for those of you who won't have read it, the physical copy, if you did it the audiobook, you might not know this, but she capitalizes random words in Piranesi. Does anybody know why that is? It kind of disrupted the flow of the writing because random words would be capitalized that normally wouldn't be. Does anybody know why that is? Is that dragon statue on your shelf new? Is it a statue? This one, I got that today from a friend who gave me a belated birthday present. I think my birthday was 5 months ago, but I appreciate the gift, and I'm always happy to receive a present when I wasn't expecting it. So yeah, how sick is that? It looks awesome, doesn't it? It's like a little metallic artwork, so I could put it on the wall, but it's like perfect height to just fit in there, so I slotted it in there. Um, if that is what you mean. I can't think of anything else on there that looks like a dragon. Becky sounds childish. She's trying to make herself sound young, so we will never have any doubts she is old. Yep. I will be in my 80s calling myself Becky. Be even worse if I called myself Becky Boo, which did used to be my username before I changed it. She is young. Thank you, Sarah. That makes me feel great. Um, were they the things that were statues? I was audiobook, so I didn't encounter that. Yeah, so the audiobook, because I was talking to my friend Katie from earlier, she listened to it as an audiobook. I was asking her, why is it like randomly capitalizing the word air or the word wall? Like random words would be capitalized that normally wouldn't be. And it really made me emphasize on those words for no reason. But she didn't get that because she listened to the audiobook. So I just and there's never a reason for it. Like it never explains it. Um, and I had to Google afterwards, like why was that? And it just said that because Piranesi gives more value to these things than they actually are because they're like inanimate objects. But it didn't make much sense to me. That was the thing that kind of disrupted the flow of reading it. Probably born late 90s. I cannot confirm or deny that, Sarah. Rating, please. I use you guys as a reference on whether I should read a book. I would completely agree with Kalu, who gave it a 3.5. That is what I would give it as well. I would give it a 3.5. I enjoyed it, loved the mystery element to it, but there was also a lot that I wasn't too keen on, and I didn't really vibe with the ending. I feel like I've missed so many messages. Let me catch up. The One Piece pirate flag is being held as a symbol for real life protests over corrupt governments in countries that were, oh, wow, which is wild. It's a pretty influential story. That hits home. That hits home. I feel like I just saw something float behind me in the camera. That was a bit creepy. I'll have to watch that on the video after this. What could that have been? I really hope it's not. I don't know if you guys know. Do you know what a daddy longlegs is, or like a crane fly? Do you know what they are? They're my least favorite insect, and there's been so many of them recently, and I'm just on edge that there could be one in here because that's what that kind of looked like. Okay, so before I have a full blown panic, let's read the comments. I got some nice bookends yesterday from Argonath. Maybe you know this from the movies. They are the statues of the former kings. Ooh, that sounds amazing. I need some good bookends. My books keep falling over all the time. The things that were parts of the house, since Piranesi views the house as somewhat alive and worship worthy. Yeah, that's what it said when I Googled it afterwards. So let me see if I can give an example. Oh yeah, like the word corridor, the word single door, window, myself, statues, hall. I can kind of get hall. Moon, the light. That like these are all capitalized. Arms, shoulder. The child and his hand. They're all capitalized, but these are like they're not the start of a sentence, they're just in the middle of a sentence. And that was just 2 pages I just randomly flipped to. So I was looking at that thinking there must be a reason why these are capitalized, but it just never really explained it. But maybe it's up for interpretation. Morton says it's all in the house, and the house is all Piranesi knows. I think there is something in the house he holds in high regard. Yeah, it must be that Piranesi's putting more value on those things. Bye, Chicken Burn. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day. But yeah, that's my interpretation of it, is that because we're reading it from Piranesi's perspective, Piranesi just must have more value on those things. But like the word hand, like why would he put value on hand? um, let's see. Piranesi would be a 3-star read to Bestie. Even banned the flag in Indonesia. Wow. 4 stars for Benjamin. Awesome. Which movie series would you suggest? It can be anything. Oh, that's a hard question. Goodness. Luca whipping out the hard questions today. This is so annoying because I know I'll have a really good one, but I'll only remember it later. It's gonna be a fantasy one, I know that for sure. Maybe it's Piranesi's view of those very things. Yeah, I think like Morton said, it's the things that he holds in high regard because he valued like the statues and he valued all these different things. Yeah, it's just all things he regards as part of the house, which Piranesi basically worships, like how people capitalize God. Yeah, it must be. He never asked the other when he would say, "Oh my God," yeah. I guess if the house is your world, corridor and window is the equivalent to London and Birmingham. That is such a good way of putting it. That's actually, yeah, okay. I think that's nailed it. Yeah, it must be. I suppose that, yeah, because that is his world. So he must like to him these things must be capitalized. And I suppose because they're names as well. So like we capitalize each other's names. So maybe it's because it's like I suppose it's not a name of a person, but it's a name of like an object or a name of a thing. So maybe that as well. It's just the way Piranesi writes. He can do whatever he wants. I'm still trying to think of a movie or a series to recommend to Luca that I really enjoyed. What did I enjoy? Bestie has a question. Fire away. Um, I won't be on for too much longer as well because I always like to try and make these about an hour. But I'll probably go to 8:05 because I started about 5 minutes late. In the end, Kettley just buys a pistol and people recognise it. Is this normal in England? No. No, it is not. Which, I mean, this is probably set in the past, right? So I don't know what the time. I'm assuming it was set in the past because things felt very like old-fashioned. So I don't know if this is factually accurate for the past, but in this day and age, I mean, that doesn't. I mean, parts of England are very different to other parts of England, but where I am here, that would not be normal. That is not normal for my part of England. Um, oh, it's not set in the past. They have smartphones. It's reasonably recent. Oh, weird. I just always assumed it was set in the past because it felt very old-fashioned the way people were talking. Maybe they're just posh. Okay, well then definitely not. Oh yeah, they had smartphones. Okay, definitely not normal then. If anybody else is from England, feel free to disagree, but it definitely doesn't feel very normal for me. Maybe he had it already. I don't remember saying he bought it. The other has a PD or an iPad. Yeah, yeah. So the only thing with Dr. Ketley and the pistol is like, I'm not gonna lie, I've got no idea how you would get that in the UK without a license. So are they like a specific occupation where you can have that? So I don't know where he would have got that from. You can't just go into a shop and buy things like that anywhere. In the UK, it's very hard to get that kind of stuff. So yeah, where did he get it from? How did he get that? It's late 2010s by the diary dates, 2018. Wow, okay. Oh yeah, when Ketley isn't paying attention properly, he is texting when Piranesi is talking to him, and Raphael has a smartphone too. Wow. Okay, so yeah, it definitely isn't old-fashioned then. It must just be the way that people talk It must have just been. I don't know. Why did I think it was old-fashioned or set in the past? Weird. First I thought maybe Susanna Clarke is American, but she's British. Yeah, I because obviously it was definitely set in Britain, but and obviously authors can write in places where they have never been to, or maybe that they've not don't originate from. Um, but yeah, I wondered if that was like an American author's interpretation of England, but it turns out it's not. Stannis, Luca, which horror book would you suggest then? Something Stannis would like? Pet Cemetery, Stephen King. Favorite horror. It's brilliant. 5-star read. Best book I've read all year. I think the implication is he got it illegally. Yeah. He says something like, I should be able to get a gun, but it won't be easy, or something, paraphrasing. Yeah. How do you get stuff like that in the UK? I obviously don't want to know. Nor should anybody else want to know. But he definitely didn't get that in a very moral way. That's all I'll say before I get banned. The year the Albatross came to the whatever hall is 2016. So really, really modern then. Okay, wow. I thought it was like set way before. Oh, Chicken Burn. Before I leave, let me suggest The Witching Hour by Anne Rice. Great read. Long, but a book reader shouldn't care. I don't care about long books. I will write that onto my list of recommendations. Thank you so much for that. I will check that out. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Get me out of this reading slump, y'all. Oh, thank you, Rushy. Always the highlight of my month. That is incredibly sweet. You are definitely top of the leaderboard. And I can love heart that. I've just realised. Thank you so much. That is very, very kind of you. I appreciate that. That can buy me half a meal deal from Tesco. Honestly, the cost of living crisis, you can't get sandwiches for cheap anymore. Yes, Pet Cemetery. Yeah, I would encourage you to read. If you like horror, to me, it was like the best book I've read all year. It was so well written. I thought the pacing was perfect. Characters were great. Just go into it kind of blind, not knowing anything about it, because I went into it not knowing anything and loved it. I didn't guess the plot. I don't think. Yeah, no, I definitely didn't guess the ending. The skeletons were in the house for a very long time. They would have had dated pasts. In the end, some people report that they've seen him buying a gun, a boat, etc. That's why I was curious about this. Yeah, you definitely can't just buy a gun. Can I say that word? I don't know. I don't know what I can say on YouTube. You definitely can't do that in this country. Pet Cemetery is so good. Yes, thank you again for that video. Prompted a reread. I hope you enjoy your reread. I already want to reread it, but I was going to do it for October, but then I thought it was too soon to when I last read it. So I think I'm going to read Cell by Stephen King instead, because that sounds really cool. So I'm still going to read Stephen King in October. What's your current read? So my current reads at the moment are Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. I'm just going to read the first book, I think, and then take a pause for October and then come back to the second book in November. A pew pew. Yeah, okay, yeah, you definitely can't buy a pew pew in this country. Yeah, that's a safe term. We'll say pew pew now. And then my other current read, because I'm reading 2 books at the moment, is Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which so far I'm loving. I'm only 50 pages in, but it's such a cute read and really intriguing concept. It's the one about how a cafe has the ability to time travel, but you've got to return before your cup of coffee gets cold. It's really cool. So The Will of the Many is about 75 chapters. Get started soon. Yes, I think, well, my copy is about to arrive. So I ordered it the other day. When I found out what the book club winner was, I ordered it. That should be arriving within the next few days. So that gives me time to finish Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and then I will read The Will of the Many. So that is my plan. I'm so excited, and that'll probably take me a good chunk of October. I think definitely the first couple of weeks of October I'll be reading that. But I got to get it done. We've got a live stream to attend, haven't we? Who else is going to try and attend the live stream next month? Obviously, if you're busy, I'm not going to be offended. And if you don't care about the book that we chose, I'm also not going to be offended. But out of interest, I'd love to know who's going to be reading Will of the Many, or who's already read it, who wants to come and discuss it. I'm third way, fourth wing. Are you enjoying? Martin says, "Will of the Many hurt getting a copy of that in the mail tomorrow?" Awesome. I've heard many good things about it. So that's our October book club pick, and I am very excited to see what we all think to it on the final Sunday of October, a month from today, essentially, I think. Um, if I am not busy, I will attend. Awesome. I'd love to see you there. I'm almost finished with it. Awesome. Cool. You'll be prepared. My plan for October is finishing The Summoner. Awesome. Maybe reading Alchemized. I've heard so much about Alchemized at the moment. Listen to 1984 and listen to Will of the Many. Amazing. That's a very strong TBR. You have a good TBR for October. That is great. Morton says, "So have I" was my next read either way. Perfect timing then. That is brilliant. I'd love to know what you think to it. It sounds like we'll be reading it at the same time. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to see what you think to it. Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Would love to see you there next month. Kalu says, "It's pretty engaging. Keeping track of character names is a bit challenging." That's what I struggled with Game of Thrones, the first book, when I first read it, and Clash of Kings as well, is all the character names. When I first read it, there was just so many different characters with so many different names. So I found that a bit challenging, but I got over it. So I'm hoping I'll be able to do the same with Will of the Many. Oh, Callum Rushworth is in the chat. Yeah, we hope you're enjoying The Summoner. I've just realised I've done product placement unintentionally for Callum this entire live stream. So there you go, Callum. Hope you enjoy the free advertising. Benjamin says, "Finishing this book in time together before the date will take The Will of the Many." But tush. Brilliant. You're a comedian. Do you do stand-up? Did you make a note of Before Sunrise? I think you'd enjoy it. I did. I wrote that on my list. Thank you. I will. Yeah, I'll have to schedule out a little Sunday afternoon to watch that. I'm excited to see what I think to definitely the first movie. I am reading Ken Schoolan's Adventures of Jonathan Gallibal, and it's very interesting. I recommend it to you. Awesome. I will write that down as well. My TBR is forever growing, but that's fine because it makes me excited. Thank you for the recommendation. Yep, Cal, I've got Dagger Dancer on display at the moment. It's such a good front cover. Oh, it's mirrored. I can't move it properly. That is such a good front cover. It looks amazing. The Will of the Many, they are some old Roman style names, so that is part of the challenge. Yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to forget what everybody's called. But yeah, I think it'll be great. The plot will probably carry it through as well. I've heard good things about the plot. I also love the front cover of The Will of the Many as well. Bessie says, "Just not had a lot of time last week, so needed to pause it. But in particular, I like how you write the fighting scenes." Awesome. Callum appreciates the feedback. Oh, this is sweet. This is wholesome. I think we'll probably leave the live stream there because I am hungry. I've normally eaten my tea before I do the live streams, but I overslept when I had my afternoon nap, so I didn't have time to cook it. This makes me sound very unproductive and lazy. I had a busy morning, which is why I needed the nap. So, any final thoughts on Piranesi or life in general before we wrap up for another month? Luca says, "I wish you good fortune in the wars to come, Becky." Appreciate that. Winter is coming. Bestie says, "Napping is awesome." It is. I think I've nailed my timing. Like, I think I went through a rough patch a few years ago where I didn't get my timings of nap right and I would wake up feeling worse. But now I think I've got it right and I wake up feeling great. What will you eat now? I think I'm having a like oven cooked burrito thing that's pre-made and probably very processed, but it's easy to cook. Thanks, Becky. Have a good end of your week. Likewise, Kalu. I hope you have a good rest of your week. Keep reading Samuel Tyler. You will get the context soon. Eat well. Have a very nice rest of your night. Thank you as well, you too, Sarah. And thank you, everybody, for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye, Valerian. Thank you so much for joining. Hope you all have a good rest of your week. And I will catch you next week with more YouTube videos. Woo! Have a good evening, guys, if it's evening where you are. If not, have a good day. Bye.